Hi there, I'm Scott Culpepper and welcome to the Ingles table. Today I'm going to show you something unique. These are my individual beef Wellingtons. I got everything I need from Ingles, so let's get started. All right, I'm going to start off with 6 tablespoons of butter. I'm going to saute the mushrooms. I have about 1.5 pounds of mushrooms. You can use your choice. I like the meatier shiitakes, maitake mushrooms work great for this dish. I have 1.5 pounds of mushrooms. I've finely chopped 2 large shallots. I have 4 cloves of chopped garlic, and then I have a tablespoon of fresh chopped thyme. So I'm gonna melt the butter down until it starts to get a little foamy, to make sure that it's all the way warm enough to take on the mushrooms. So I cut the mushrooms about 1/4 inch in diameter thickness here. These are gonna cook down by about half, so it seems like it might be 1.5 pounds of mushrooms might be a lot, but it's going to reduce by about half. So now that the butter is foaming, I'm gonna go ahead and add all of the mushrooms. All right, I'm gonna get them in a nice, hot, buttery bath. Kind of try and rotate all the mushrooms to get them coated with a little bit of butter so that we can get them warm and starting to reduce. That's good. So, second step, while we're waiting for these to reduce, I've got some steaks here. Filet mignon is the steak of choice. Today I'm using a tender chuck. You want about 2.5 to 3 ounces, inches in thickness. But today I'm using these thinner slice tender chucks. I'm going to sprinkle them with a little bit of salt. And what I've done here is I let the meat sit out for a little bit to come to room temperature, because we're gonna cook these really fast at high heat to just a rare temperature, because once we wrap them in the puff pastry, they're gonna continue to cook in the oven, and we don't want them to get overcooked because we wanna have a nice medium rare cook on the steaks. Unless you like your meat cooked longer, then that is up to individual taste. So I got the skillet here. I'm gonna put these on. We want to get a nice caramelization on the steaks. So take about 1.5 minutes on the first side, and then we're going to let it cook about another minute once we turn it over. Got a little bit lower heat, that might take longer on this one, so I'm going to check on the mushrooms again. Browning up, starting to reduce. And we're going to add the shallots, the garlic, and the thyme once all the mushrooms are cooked down. So we're going to let these continue to cook, and then once this is finished, we'll come back and start completing the dish. All right, everybody, welcome back. We got our mushrooms reduced down quite nicely here. So I'm going to add the next ingredient. I'm going to add the 2 shallots that I chopped up, the garlic. We don't want to add the garlic right away because we don't want it to caramelize or burn. So this is going to help enhance the garlic flavor. And then the tablespoon of chopped thyme. So I'm going to blend this all together, get it mixed up nice. I'm going to let it continue to cook. I'm going to add to that 1/2 cup of dry sherry. This is just fortified wine, so it's just going to help enhance the earthiness of the mushrooms. We're going to let that simmer for about 2 or 3 minutes until the shallots soften up and start to become transparent. Then we have our steaks, giving a slow sear on them. So we're just going to go ahead and take those off the heat. gonna let these cool off. Once they cool off, I'm gonna add about a tablespoon of yellow mustard to the top of the steak. That's gonna be a little surprise element of the Wellington. Shallots are already doing their job. Okay. So I'm gonna transfer the mushroom and shallot mixture to a bowl, or you can use a shallow baking dish, something so that we can just get the mushrooms and everything cooled down. All right, yeah, we'll set this aside, and when we come back, we'll start with the puff pastry component. All right, everyone, welcome back. We're gonna do the final step to these individual beef Wellingtons. What I've done is lightly floured a working surface here, and I have puff pastry that I'm gonna roll out for the delicious part of it. But puff pastry doesn't come in a large sheet, but the thing about puff pastry is it's pretty forgiving to work with. So I like to just roll it out a little bit. It's kind of thin, but just to make a larger piece. So about that size, I don't know, 14 inches is good. And then I'm just gonna cut it right down in the middle. And we're gonna get 2 beef Wellingtons out of this trick today. Let's make it just a little bit wider. So then I have egg wash. What I've done is just taken 1 large egg, add about a teaspoon or 2 of water to it, and that's gonna act as the binding agent for this, or glue if you will, to help hold the puff pastry together and keep everything inside. I like to put a good coat all the way around all 4 sides for insurance reasons. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna add about a teaspoon of Dijon mustard to each one of the steaks. And do this after it cools down. You don't want the mustard to melt away or run off the sides of the steak. Just like that. And then our mushroom and shallot mixture goes down first. And like I said, this is a lot of mushrooms. You can use as much or as little as you like. I like mushrooms, so I tend to be a little heavy-handed on the mushrooms. I'm going to take one of the steaks, and I'm going to take it mustard side down and put on top of the mushrooms. So now I'm going to fold the ends over first and kind of press down on the sides. Set just like that. Going to a little more binder there. And then fold that over. Fold this side over. Then that is actually the bottom. So leave that there, and we're going to do this one more time with mushrooms. Mustard side down. Fold the ends over. A little more egg wash. Fold that up. Press it down, but be gentle because you don't want to poke a hole through the puff pastry. We've thinned it out, remember. All right. And then, before baking, we're going to coat the entire piece of Wellington puff pastry with egg wash. What that's going to do is help it to get that golden, beautiful, delicious brown. Don't be afraid to use this. You can use as much as you want. The more, the better it's going to look. So now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna take these little guys and I'm gonna put them in the oven at 400 degrees and just watch them and let them cook until they're nice and golden brown in color. All right, everyone, welcome back. Here's the finished product. Individual beef Wellington. We cooked them off in the oven at about 400 degrees. Took about 15-20 minutes, depends on your oven. Gas works different than electric. Just keep an eye on it so it doesn't get too overdone. Then when you cut into them, you should have a nice medium rare beef Wellington. There's obviously enough for 2 people to share. If you're really hungry, have it to yourself. But thanks for joining me here at the Ingles table. Don't forget to check out our website for more tips, tricks, and recipes. See you next time.